A quiet Christmas weekend in U.S. politics with President Trump and his family holed up at his Mar-a-Lago resort for a 10-day break. Of course, no surprise there. The president frequently spends weekends at the Gulf resort, sometimes referring to it as the Winter White House. In fact, a new report from the Wall Street Journal says Trump has spent close to 1/3 of his time in office at one of his own properties. The Wall Street Journal reviewing his travel movements and finding that he spent more than a month each at both his Bedminster golf course in New Jersey and Mar-a-Lago resort since taking office in January.
God bless you, my friend, President Jimmy Morales. God bless both our countries, Israel and Guatemala.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales over his decision to move the Central American country's embassy to Jerusalem. In a short post on his official Facebook account Sunday, Morales said he decided to relocate the embassy from Tel Aviv after talking to Netanyahu. Guatemala siding with the U.S. in the dispute over Jerusalem's status. On December 6th, U.S. President Donald Trump announced his government would recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, a move that reverses decades of U.S. policy and prompted outrage and condemnation from Arab nations and Western allies. On Thursday, 128 countries defied Trump by backing a non-binding UN General Assembly resolution, calling on the United States to drop its recognition of Jerusalem. Guatemala and neighboring Honduras, two of only a handful of countries to join Israel and the U.S. in voting against the UN resolution.
E si possa finalmente giungere a una soluzione negoziata.
And Pope Francis using his Christmas Day message to call for a negotiated two-state solution to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the aftermath of Trump's so-called Jerusalem decision. This is the second time the pontiff has spoken out on the issue. When Trump made the announcement in early December, the Pope called for the city's status quo to be respected over fears new tensions in the Middle East would only add fuel to ongoing world conflicts. British royals greeting well-wishers who gathered to meet them after the traditional Christmas Day service at St. Mary Magdalene's Church at the Queen's Sandringham estate. Prince Harry's fiancée Meghan Markle also joining Queen Elizabeth and other senior Windsor family members for their annual Christmas celebration. Royal commentators say this was a break with royal protocol. Traditionally, royal partners have not been invited to join the Queen's Christmas celebrations until after they're married. And Prince Harry and Markle's wedding, set for May 19th, is now becoming a political hot potato. The British tabloid The Sun reporting the British government is asking Prince Harry not to invite former U.S. President Barack Obama. Prince Harry and the Obamas have become good friends since bonding during the Invictus Games here in Toronto in the fall. But relations between the British and U.S. governments are cool these days after the president's Twitter criticized the UK's response to terror attacks and retweeted videos from far-right group Britain First. Trump has yet to make a presidential visit to the UK. The Sun says senior government officials are worried about Trump's reaction if Obama is invited to the royal wedding before he has a chance to meet the Queen. Today marks 13 years since a massive tsunami killed nearly 226,000 people in Thailand, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and India. Today, hundreds of survivors and family members of victims gathered to march and pay tribute to those who lost their lives more than a decade ago. Vietnam is breathing a sigh of relief today as Tropical Storm Tem Bin continues to weaken while it heads westward. The storm killed 240 people while it passed through the Philippines. In Vietnam, nearly 1 million people were told to be ready for evacuation, and nearly 70,000 were moved from low-lying areas to nearby schools. In China, some may have thought they were seeing triple as this rare celestial phenomenon lit up the sky. It's called parhelio, and it happens when light reflects off of ice particles in the clouds. It gives the illusion of multiple suns and generally lasts about 15 minutes.